Assalamu alaikum. I'm connecting with you today when teachers across the globe are celebrating World Teachers' Day. Uh, it dates back to 1966, 5th of October, when UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, and ILO, International Labour Organization, they came up with recommendations concerning the status of teachers, concerning their well-being, their social, economic well-being, social security, their rights and responsibilities. Amid all these recommendations, this year we are celebrating it with this theme: transformation in education begins with teachers. Of course, I hope you will agree with this, that teacher is at the heart of uh, any educational process or any learning process. So if you want transformation in a society, so teacher is at its heart. If we look at our society today, different aspects of our society, different fields, if you look at the field of innovation and creation, where do we stand? Uh, the moral fabric of our society, where do we stand today? The intellectual fabric of our society, where do we stand? So we stand nowhere. No matter we are producing, India is producing engineers, okay, more than the population of New Zealand every year. But where do we stand as far as innovation and creation is concerned? We stand nowhere. We exist nowhere. But what could be the reasons responsible? Uh, I could find out a galaxy of reasons responsible, but let me just talk about a few of them. Number one major reason that I find is our curriculum. We settle in this 21st century, we settle focus on lower order thinking skills like remembering. So we just revolve around the pedagogical practice of read and remember. We don't go beyond that. We don't focus on, our curriculum doesn't focus on higher order thinking skills like skills of analysis, like skills of problem solving, like skills of evaluation and creation and innovation, like skills of intellectual inquiry. So we don't focus on these skills. Our assessment is also based on just lower order thinking skills, that is, remember, read, and remember. And this is all we do. Now, we have come up with schools which follow international curriculum. We have IB schools today, we have Cambridge schools, we have CBSE schools with the curriculum that it has schools across the globe. But do we really follow it on ground the way it needs to be followed? Do we deliver it on ground the way it needs to be delivered? Do we have the environment that it actually needs so that we can deliver it? Of course not. Uh, if we had the environment, we could deliver this curriculum, then the results would have been different. We won't have been in the scenario that we have that we are in today, in the situation that we are in today. So the scenario would have been different, the picture would have been altogether different. Second reason that I would like to talk about is the professional upskilling. So you have a curriculum, but where is the professional upskilling of teachers? The teacher who is at the heart of delivering this curriculum. So it's teacher who actually is responsible to deliver this curriculum. So he needs to be upskilled. Uh, he needs to be trained, and this continuous professional upskilling is actually it lacks in our schools. We don't invest time and energy in it. So we need to have a concrete plan for professional upskilling of our teachers, uh, our assistant teachers. They need to be professionally, our leadership at school needs to be professionally upskilled, so that we can make it count, make the curriculum count. Uh, the third reason that I would like to talk about is the employee well-being. When it comes to employee well-being, when it comes to uh, even if you go through the recommendations which UNESCO and ILO came up with, it clearly mentions. Let me. It clearly talks about the financial security of teachers. Uh, it mentions. Let me just read it through that only, so that I don't mince words. So it writes regarding the teachers' financial security. It writes that uh, teachers' salaries should provide teachers with the means to ensure a reasonable standard of living for themselves and their families. So if your teacher is not uh, economically secure, so of course his work, his efficiency will be impacted. Recently, I got in touch with a teacher who is a good friend of mine. Uh, he could not admit his son in a school where he teaches, because the cost of admitting his son there, okay, he could not bear that cost. So this is really shocking. uh, Actually, he was his wife was forcing him to admit his son there only, but he outrightly told her, no, I can't do this. This is beyond my uh, beyond my income. He couldn't go ahead with that decision. So we need to look into the well-being of teachers as well, especially the teachers who are working in the private sector. Uh, so this is again a reason why we fail to deliver on ground. One more reason that I find, and I would like to talk about it, is that teachers nowadays in schools, uh, if you look at when we talk about delivering international curriculum, so it needs with international pedagogical practices like active learning, collaboration, experiential learning, uh, differentiation. So you need to create an environment, you need to create a culture in your school which actually favors it, which will function as a facilitator, which will facilitate it. But when we look at the environment, like for example, the class size, teacher student ratio, it doesn't help you. The class size is too huge, that active learning becomes impossible, collaboration becomes impossible, differentiation becomes impossible when you have a class size of 40 students, when you have a ratio of 1 is to 40 or 1 is to 60. So how on earth is possible that you can implement active learning or collaboration or differentiation in such situations? So this is also one of the reasons which actually teachers find hard to deliver this curriculum in a way that it should be delivered. And one more thing that actually relates to it only is that in most schools today, I find Teachers have been reduced to data entry clerks, or I can say data entry operators. So they spent much of the time on creating data rather than focusing on learning. So teachers need to have time so that they can invest uh, in their professional upskilling. So if you don't invest in your professional upskilling, you can't go ahead. If you don't invest in your planning, so you need to have a right plan. There's a saying which goes like this: if you fail to plan, you actually plan to fail. So planning is very essential. But do teachers get time for planning when they are made to create a lot of data? No, they don't get time uh, for planning their lessons, especially when you need to plan lessons in line with the international pedagogical practices. So it becomes impossible uh, given your workload and the other assignments, especially which come in this uh, data entry and other things. Uh, so it becomes impossible, it becomes hard. So we need to see that it's not just the curriculum, it's not just the international pedagogical practices. We need to come up with a mechanism that actually facilitates this curriculum, that actually facilitates, that will create a conducive environment in which we can deliver this curriculum. We can implement these international pedagogical practices on ground. We can make it possible. So we need to make ground fertile by reducing the class size, by reducing by giving teachers the right workload, by reducing unnecessary uh, data entry operations. So learning actually has become just a tip. Learning and teaching process has just become a tip of the iceberg, and rest you just engage in data entry. And this is what I have been witnessing since long. So we need to come out of it, and we this is high time we think over it, we reflect on it, and we come up with a plan that we can implement, and we can transform society. So we can help society change for better, uh, and we make a difference in the lives around. So we are here to make a difference in the lives around, but we can only make this difference if we have the right plan. If we have the right plan to engage learners actively. uh, Thank you.